These people hate the fact that they do not have control over your emotions. You are too unbothered to care. You see, women who have that soft strength, who operate in their divine feminine energy, they know how to control their own emotions and they do not allow others to do it for them. See, women who are unbothered, who are feminine, who lean into the softer side of themselves, they value their peace of mind, and because they value their peace of mind, they refuse to allow others to have control of it, i.e., control of their emotions. A woman who is divinely feminine is not easily frustrated or angered by somebody else's nasty attitude. She doesn't care if she's around a bunch of bitter Betsies. She is not allowing that to affect her. Women who are in their femininity, who operate in that divine feminine energy and are unbothered, do not allow the emotions of others to dictate her emotions. See, this is a principle when it comes to being in that queen feminine energy. It's that you don't allow other people to control your emotions. You don't give people that kind of power over you. Even if they are trying to trigger you to frustration, to anger, you know how to dismiss them and remain unbothered. And some people will not like that. So these people don't like the fact that they cannot control your emotions. Women who are divinely feminine, they understand that they are not meant to walk around with a bunch of hostility and anger and frustration. We all have our moments where we feel angry, where we feel upset, where we feel like we're just not feeling the day. But that is going to be because of your own internal dialogue and not because of what other people are trying to force on you. See, a woman who is feminine, who leans in her divine feminine energy, who is unbothered, she can walk in a room full of people who might be bitter and miserable and trying to get her to feel the same way. And instead of sitting there taking in all that negativity, she chooses to remove herself. And even if she's not able to physically remove herself from the negative situation, she mentally removes herself from that negativity. What do I mean by that? Feminine women master the art of detaching from their surroundings. So even if she works in a workplace where there are bitter, miserable people, everybody's running around stressed and aggravated, because her thoughts are settled, because she is at peace within herself, because the meditation of her own heart is clean and pure and focused on positive things, she can be in that environment where chaos is breaking out and she's sipping her smoothies, sipping her tea at her desk, just waiting for 4 or 5 o'clock so she can clock out and go on about her day. She does not easily absorb all of the emotions and negativity and the heaviness that comes with her day. I say this as a woman who used to allow the day, the workplace, the people to heavily impact my emotions, my mental, even interfere with my spiritual life. But when I started really leaning into my femininity and living in alignment, understanding who I was truly created to be and how I was meant to operate as a divine feminine woman, I started to understand that it is not healthy for me to carry all of the negative emotions and the heaviness and the toxicity and the stress of the day. Learning how to compartmentalize, learning how to detach, learning how to be in a situation but not allow the situation to be in you became crucial to my, how can I say it, to my essential way of operating in my femininity. I understood that if I wanted to maintain my peace, if I didn't want to allow the world to harden me, I had to make sure that I was in control of my emotions. And in order to be in control of my emotions, I had to be in control of my thoughts. You see, some people will not like the fact that they are not in control of your emotions because your thoughts are not on them. See, your thoughts are not on how they're being really irritating towards you. Your thoughts are not really on how they talk bad about you. Unbothered women do not care about people who do not affect her life personally. And this is easy when you are in the workplace, or it can be easy when you are in the workplace or when you are partaking in some kind of business. When you're dealing with people who really don't affect you personally, it's easy to just give them what they want in the moment and then forget about them later. That might sound a little harsh, but women who are in their femininity, who operate in their divine feminine strength, that boss that you do not like, who always has the nasty attitude, you can walk up to her and say, Susanna, here's my report. Thank you so much for helping me, or thank you for this opportunity. Would you like me to grab you something from the break room? Have a wonderful rest of your day, and then clock out. You know why a woman who's operating in her soft strength and her femininity can truly do that? Because you could care less about Diana, or whatever name I just said, Susanna, I believe. That's just an example. You could care less about her. You are playing your position at the moment. Because that position is directly impacting your pay, you know how to perform when you need to perform, and then when it no longer matters, when you clock out, you are done. Not only are you no longer thinking about that workplace, you are no longer thinking about that boss. She does not affect you personally. You did your performance and it's over. When you are a woman who operates in her femininity, when you lean into your divine feminine energy, you know how to, be cordial with people whom are not necessarily the best people to deal with. Cordiality and being able to be cordial and kind to people you do not like in order to maintain your peace is one way that you have emotional control. And see, some people who would like you to be all bent out of shape and upset because of their nastiness, when you don't give them that, they don't really understand it. They don't understand why you are not sitting off in a corner crying, why you're not so upset about the fact that they speak so nasty, or you're in an environment and they're trying to create tension. It's because they're only one part of your day. They are not a part of your life. The check is still going to cash the same. You see, you know how to detach from that person and just focus on the situation at hand. And I'm not going to say that this is easy to do in the very beginning. Absolutely not. It takes a level of soft strength, feminine energy, and leaning into your divine feminine to truly understand how to be kind, how to be cordial, and then remain unbothered at the end of everything. So these people hate the fact that they do not have control over your emotions. You refuse to give them power over you. And this is even in your personal life. When you are dealing with people, maybe you're in a relationship or you're dating someone, or, even with family. A woman who is in her divine feminine energy and she is unbothered, she can hear someone but not hear them. I do this kind of thing all the time, where somebody can be speaking to me, and if I feel that the conversation is pointless, if I feel they're trying to trigger me in some way, I will automatically tune out. That brings me to the next point. A feminine woman operating in her divine feminine energy, she knows how to tune people out when it is absolutely necessary to do so. I am not saying that you should not listen to people when they actually are saying something meaningful, when they're looking for guidance, when they're actually, when it's actually a productive conversation and it's going somewhere. Of course, you want to be attentive, you want to listen, you want to be kind. I'm talking about in those times where people are trying to have control over your emotions, over your mood. They're trying to load you down with some kind of heaviness. That is when you know how to, or need to learn how to, tune them out. There have been times where someone has been talking to me and I noticed that the conversation was getting a little bit of messiness, it was getting a little disrespectful, or it was starting to turn into gossip, which feminine women do not partake in endless amounts of gossip. That's when I begin to tune them out. It's like I can still give the faces to you as if I am listening to you, but my thoughts are far from you. I could be thinking about going to the bookstore after the kids get out of school. I could be thinking about what I'm going to fix for dinner. I could be thinking about what I want to order from Amazon. I could be thinking about anything else other than what you're actually talking about. See, a part of being in your feminine energy and remaining unbothered is to know how to tune out dumbness. And I know that sounds harsh, but if you are truly going to be at peace within yourself, your thoughts have to reflect the kind of life that you want to live. And if you have people who are trying to gain access to you so they can try to fill your mind with all kinds of craziness or disrupt your peace with conversations or situations that are not productive, you are going to have to learn how to tune them out. And this is even for arguments and disagreements with people whom you might love very deeply. Like if you're a married woman, there are times when you're going to have to learn how to tune out your husband. You're going to have to hear him, but not hear him. After 20 years of marriage, I have mastered the art, for the most part, of tuning out my husband when he is just being nitpicky, because that's going to disrupt my peace. You know, everybody has their ways, everybody has their moments. It's not that you don't love or care for that person. It's just that you're not going to allow them to have so much control over your emotions. As women, and this brings me to a very important point, as women, one of the major disruptions to our emotions is men. Sometimes we allow the moods and attitudes of the men in our lives or the men in our workplaces to cause us to be all over the place. You know, if they come in the house and they look like they're in a mood, now you're trying to figure out what's wrong. Now you're wanting to open up and ask them, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why do you look like that? It took me years to realize that stop trying to figure out what's wrong. Stop asking what's wrong. It's not your job to regulate another adult's emotions. If they said nothing, but you know there's something, let them figure it out with themselves. You remain unbothered. And even if it's not something within a relationship, even in your workplace, if you notice men are treating you differently, if they're upset because the boss gave you responsibility that they think they're more equipped for, that is not your problem. That is between them and the boss. Don't try to soften the blow by trying to regulate somebody else's emotions. That was more so not absorbing the negativity or the emotions of other people, because women, especially when you are in your femininity, when you are in your feminine energy, when you are truly living in that divine feminine, sometimes your nurturing spirit can get out of balance to where you want to swoop in and fix and make everybody feel better. And it took me years to realize that I can't make anybody feel anything. I can do the best I can, but my responsibility is to make sure that I feel good, that I'm in alignment, that my relationship for me with God is good. That's all I can do. Having control over somebody else's emotions or allowing them to have control over yours is an absolute no-no for women who choose to remain unbothered. So these people hate the fact that they can't have control over your emotions. You refuse to allow their negative moods or attitudes to impact you. You are going to remain in your feminine softness. You are not trying to figure out the moods and attitudes of other people. You understand that even though you have a nurturing spirit as a woman, it's okay to let other people feel how they feel. You can focus on yourself, because divine feminine women, women who operate in that feminine energy, they focus on themselves. They focus on doing the things that better themselves, keep them comfortable, keep them excited, keep them focused on positive things. And if somebody in your life or somebody in your environment is doing the opposite of that, don't allow what they're feeling to cause you to get down. I'm not saying lack empathy or compassion if somebody is hurting and you want to be there for them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dealing with sourpusses, talking about dealing with people who are bitter, who are miserable, and they want to spread that onto you. Divine feminine women who operate in their feminine energy and remain unbothered do not allow the negative of other people to get inside of them. One way that I, to the best of my ability, because I am not perfect, I miss the mark once in a while, we all do. But for the most part, the way I keep my emotions in control and not allow others to have control over me is that I remind myself that I'm not working for people as unto them, but I'm doing it as unto the Lord. So when I'm at work, or if I'm working on this channel, or when I'm doing different things or interacting in the public space, I ask God every day to help me to be kind to everybody I come in contact with, and help me to see them in the same way that you see them. Doing that for me from a spiritual standpoint helps me to be prepared for the foolishness of man. And when I say the foolishness of man, I mean humankind, man and or woman. I say, God, help me to control my emotions, my thoughts. Help me to not allow the negativity of others to get inside of me. Help me to keep my mind pure so that when I'm talking to others, I'm not seeing the worst, and guard me from the enemy. That's literally the way I do it from a spiritual standpoint. From a natural standpoint, I just don't go to certain places where I know I might be forced to give up my peace. And then when I'm going into situations, whether it be business, for the most part, when it's business, I already prepare my mind for the fact that there are going to be some people who are going to test me. There are going to be some people who might be a little nasty, especially if you work in the workforce. If you work with people, you have to prepare your mind to deal with people who are not so pleasant. That is one major way that you can maintain control over your emotions and not allow other people to control you. I've actually been complimented on my patience, and I'm not saying this to flex or to, brag, but people actually knew they were being nasty to me, but because of my patience, at the end of the entire interaction, they said, you know what, I just want to apologize to you, and I just thank you for being so patient and so kind with me. And when they say that, I'll tell them, no problem, all of that. But on the inside, they had no idea the battle that was happening, the battle between disrupting my peace and letting you have it, or just walking away altogether. It really takes a lot of practice, a lot of meditation, a lot of focus to maintain your peace and keep emotional control when people are trying to take that from you. So these people hate the fact that you will not give up emotional control. You will not give them that kind of power over you. This is Soft Strength Society, where we overcome, evolve, and elevate as women. If any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, and make sure you have your notification bell on so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you all. And then if you watch this video until the very end, put the cute little butterfly emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.